guys, welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be doing a favourites video. I'm going to be talking about my favourite YA book series. I'm not really one for finishing book series. I always start them and I can even be like obsessed and I'm loving them, and I just like don't finish them. Like there's no reason, I just stop, never really think about it ever again, and that's the end of the book series at like book 1. So I was scrolling for my Goodreads and I was like, wow, there's a lot of series I still have to finish. I didn't realise how bad I really was. But these are some that I finished, most of them anyway. There's one I haven't actually finished the series, but we'll forget about that. And I'm just going to go into them, talk about them a little bit, and some of them are ones that I never hear anyone talk about, so I really want to give them some light because they're amazing and you should definitely go read all of these. So let's just get into the video. Okay, so the one I want to talk about first is the Maze Runner series because it's so popular. Everybody I know has read it and everybody loves it. I think it's one of those really solid series that it just doesn't really waver in your like opinion of each book. It kind of just stays very the same, which I quite like, because sometimes I hate when you're reading a series and you're like, oh my god, this is amazing, this is great, and the next book just like lets you down and you feel like literally someone just took your heart and took the heart right out of your chest and you actually want to cry bucket loads. But this I'm so dramatic, can you guess? But this series was definitely not like that. I loved it all the way through and I found it was a very solid read. So basically, if you haven't heard about the Maze Runner, it's basically this book series about this boy called Thomas who ends up in this massive maze and he has no memories of his life before the time he turned up here. But he does kind of start having like flashbacks and kind of like dreams about something that he guesses is his past life, and it's all about him trying to find a way to get out and actually understand what's really going on in the maze that he's turned up in, and hence the name Maze Runner. It's honestly just, it's just a great book. The first book, I think my first book was my favourite, because even though I said it kind of stays the same, the first book's always my favourite just because it just seems like that's my life, and I don't know why, but that is just the way it is. But definitely pick it up. I think overall I would give it like a 4 out of 5 as a book series. Amazing, go read it. This series I'm going to talk about next is my ultimate favourite on this list, is the Chaos Walking series. After I first read this series, I like didn't want to pick any of the book up because I just knew it couldn't match up, like it was never going to be it. This series follows this boy called Todd in this area where there's literally no women, and the men, like what they think is said out loud basically in this thing called the noise kind of thing. And oh my god, it was just, when I was told to read it, I was just like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna like this, and I'm so glad I read this. I'm so glad I didn't let my like what I thought would be my opinion mess with what actually was my opinion. It was just everything I've wanted in the book series. It had good development of characters, it had a plot that I wanted to follow, it broke my heart, it made me smile, it made me laugh, it just did everything I needed it to do. And I actually listened to an audiobook, I think, which made it, I don't think if I read it like it would have been any different kind of feelings, but it definitely was a really good audiobook to listen to. So if you want to listen to it in an audiobook, I would recommend that as well. It's amazing, had a great cast. I have no faults with anything they're going to do with this film. I'm getting ahead of myself. This is going to be a film, so I'm just like thinking film, I need a film. But the book is great, and if the film disappoints me, I think I'm going to be so upset. Like, but I don't think it can. Like, I think there's no way you can mess this up. Like, if you mess this up, you just must be like really bad, because it's just so good, you can't mess it up. I think I'm getting way too emotional about a book, but definitely pick this up. Even if it doesn't sound like your kind of thing, like it will be your thing, just pick it up. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about goes back to a more really popular series, now it's a Caraval series. Everybody loves this that I've heard talk about it. There probably is people that don't like it. That's just what happens when you read a book, but I think it was amazing. Like, when I picked up Caraval, the first book, I could not put it down. Like, I literally read through it so fast. When I first saw it, I was like, this is thick, I'm not gonna be able to finish this anytime soon. But I just zoomed through it and I couldn't put the book down. Basically, it follows these two sisters, Scarlett and Tella. The first book is from Scarlett's perspective, and she's agreed to marry someone she's never met because just so her sister can kind of be free, because they live with their father, who's a very cruel, very harsh man. And because she's getting married, she thinks her dreams of being part of the carnival, which is this big performance, is over and never going to happen. But then she gets a chance to go, so she decides she's just going to go. But when they first get there, her sister is taken away and kidnapped, so she has to solve it to get her sister back. So the stakes become a lot higher than they would usually be for anybody. And it was just such a good, well-written book. I've read the first two, so I actually haven't finished the series, but I'm talking about it because I really don't think it could let me down that much. Like, it can't be that bad that it's just going to ruin the whole series for me. So that's why I wanted to talk about it. I just think if you are looking for a book that kind of keeps you on your feet a little bit, keeps you guessing, and has you kind of like solving every part as it goes, like you want to find out what happens but you're trying to put the dots together and it's really hard to do so, then this is definitely a really good book for you. And I really don't have much to say, because like, just read it. That's my thing for all these books, is just read it. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about is the Fifth Wave series. This series follows this girl called Cassie, who is trying to save and run away with her brother before the fifth wave comes in. So there's been 4 waves already, and they have like literally almost cleared the earth of everybody, and they've been very deadly, and she wants to save her and her brother. So, and then she meets this young man, and she has to decide whether she can trust him or not with basically her life. So this book is another like kind of dystopian. I don't know, like I used to think I hated dystopians. I was like, I don't read dystopians, like I don't like them. Then when I started reading them, I was like, why haven't I read anything like this sooner? Why did I not think I like these? Like, am I okay? These are amazing. So that is literally my opinion of dystopians now, and that is down to some really good books that just came and they were like, you don't like us, we're gonna show you that we're good. And they showed me real good that they were good. There was a lot of good in one sentence, but it's okay because it puts across my excitement and my love for these books. I think like this series was another one I listened to on audiobook, and it just was really good. I think the only way I get through series is listen to an audiobook, or I'm just like, yeah, like I really can't bother to read like all these books. So audiobooks are the only way I get through series. So maybe I should listen to every series I ever want to read on audiobook, because then maybe I'll actually finish them instead of leaving them unfinished. But like, I think from what I remember, this had a full cast. Like, I could be so wrong, but I really do think it did have a full cast. So definitely pick this one up if you like a full cast and you like a dystopian, and even if you don't like a dystopian, because you might be like me and find out you do love them. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is another series that is so underrated, and I need to hear about it more, because if I don't, I'm going to be so upset. And that is the Gone series. This series is everything I ever wanted in a series and more, and it's kind of another dystopian. Wow, I'm sure I don't know how many dystopians I actually read. So this follows a bunch of different characters actually, from many perspectives, which I think also really made me love it, because I like when you get to see different characters and kind of get to know people more, because when you just see it from one perspective, you kind of only have that person's view of other people. You don't really get what's going on inside their heads. But this follows a group of teenagers when the world has lost all the adults, so where they live has just, all adults have just disappeared, and they have to kind of deal with that and figure out how to like create a society that is normal as it can be, because like obviously at the start there's just like a bunch of people going wild, like stealing a bunch of stuff, because at first it sounds kind of fun, like no adults, but over time they realize how they need to cope with the adults, so it's all about them surviving. And this series, I also know a series I just read through, like I've never read through a series in my life, like I read it so quick, and it was just one of those series where you felt like you're there. Like obviously you don't want to be there because it sounds really not great and not fun, but you do feel like you're there and you feel like you're living these people's lives with them. And I just felt like I needed this book much more than it needed me to read it. Like it was just one of those books where I fell in love and never wanted to come out of the world it was in. And it actually has a new companion series next to it, which I'm currently reading. I'm not loving it as much as the main series, but I'm giving it a chance because I just know that I loved the way the author wrote in this series. So I feel like I will, as I gain momentum in this new series, like it as well. The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel. This book series was something that I was recommended to me, and I thought, yeah, I really don't want to read that. But I eventually saw it on like where I listen to my audiobooks, and I was like, okay, I'm not listening to anything, let me just try and see how I feel about it. And I read it and I was obsessed, and I like thought, you almost missed out on this great opportunity to read this series. Basically it follows these twins who, one of them works for this man, and they find out that he is more than he says he is when one day one of the twins is working and a bunch of people run in, and they're like, because it's just thought this guy was a law-abiding citizen, and he finds out that he's actually this man that's immortal. And they go on this quest. I just don't want to spoil too much, but they go on this quest and it's just amazing. And I was thinking like whether this is YA or this is like a bit for a younger audience, but I think it does cross more into the YA, so that's why I wanted to mention it. And it's also a fantasy novel. I feel like most of the series that I love are kind of out of my genre comfort zone, because I'm not a fantasy person. I really don't enjoy fantasy, but this series really was a good one. And I think if you're looking for a series with a bit of magic, a bit of magic, a bit of like adventure and all that put together to make really well developed characters, I think you should pick this up, because it just is great, and it just really does a really good job of showing this kind of coming of age story as well within this kind of adventure, and that really warmed my heart and I really loved it. So I think you should read all of these series because they're all amazing. I wanted to rank them, but I was like struggling really to rank them. So all you need to know is that the first one for me is definitely the Chaos Walking series, and the others will all come right below, but like not in any sort of order. So if you read any of these, comment down below what you thought of them. Remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!